I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. I am never without it. Anywhere I go, you go, my dear. And whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet. I want no world, for beautiful, you are my world. Here is the deepest secret that nobody knows. Here is the roots of the roots, and the bud of the bud, and the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart.
Time does not bring relief. You all have lied. Who told me time would ease me of my pain? I miss him in the weeping of the rain. I want him at the shrinking of the tide. The old snows melt from every mountainside, and last year's leaves are smoke in every lane. But last year's bitter loving must remain, heaped on my heart, and my old thoughts abide. There are 100 places where I fear to go, so with his memory they brim, and entering with relief some quiet place where never fell his foot or shone his face, I say, there is no memory of him here. And so stand stricken, so remembering him.
All things within this fading world hath end. Adversity doth still our joys attend. No ties so strong, no friends so dear and sweet, but with death's parting blow is sure to meet. The sentence passed is most irreparable, a common thing, yet inevitable. How soon, my dear, death may my steps attend. How soon it may be thy lot to lose thy friend. We are both ignorant, yet love bids me these farewell lines to recommend to thee, that when that knot's untied that made us one, I may seem thine, who in effect am a none. And if I see not half my days that's due what nature would, God grant to yours and you. The many faults that well you know I have, let be interred in my oblivious grave. If any worth or virtue were in me, let that live freshly in thy memory. And when thou feelest no grief, as I no harms, yet love thy dead, who long lay in thine arms. And when thy loss shall be repaid with gains, look to my little babes, my dear remains. And if thou love thyself, or lovest me, these, protect from stepdame's injury. And if chance to thine eyes shall bring this verse, with some sad sighs, honor my absent hearse, and kiss this paper for thy love's dear sake, who, with salt tears, this last farewell did take. Thank you.
What thoughts I have of you tonight, Walt Whitman. For I walked down the side streets, under the trees, with a headache, self-conscious, looking at the full moon. In my hungry fatigue and shopping for images, I went into the neon fruit supermarket, dreaming of your enumerations, What peaches, what penumbras, whole families shopping at night, aisles full of husbands, wives in the avocados, babies in the tomatoes. And you, Garcia Lorca, what were you doing down by the watermelons? I saw you, Walt Whitman, childless, lonely old grubber, poking among the meats in the refrigerator and eyeing the grocery boys. I heard you asking questions of each. Who killed the pork chops? What price bananas? Are you my angel? I wandered in and out of the brilliant stacks of cans, following you, and followed in my imagination by the store detective. We strode down the open corridors together in our solitary fancy, tasting artichokes, possessing every frozen delicacy, and never passing the cashier. Where are we going, Walt Whitman? The doors close in an hour. Which way does your beard point tonight? I touch your book and dream of our odyssey in the supermarket and feel absurd. Will we walk all night through solitary streets? The trees add shade to shade, lights out in the houses. We'll both be lonely. Will we stroll, dreaming of the lost America, of love past blue automobiles and driveways, home to our silent cottage? Ah, dear father, graybeard, lonely old courage teacher, what America did you have when Karen quit poling his ferry and you got out on a smoking bank and stood watching the boat disappear on the black waters of Lethe? Thank you.
Timing's everything. The vapor rises high in the sky, tossing to and fro, then freezes suddenly and crystallizes into a perfect flake of miraculous snow. For countless miles, drifting east above the world, whirling about in a swirling free-for-all, appearing aimless, just like love. But sensing, seeking out its destiny, falling to where the two young skaters stand hand in hand, then flips and dips and whips itself, about to ever so gently land, a miracle across her unkissed lips, as he blocks the wind raging from the south, leaning forward to kiss her lovely mouth.
Go home. It's never what you think it is. The kiss? The diamond? The slam dance pulse in the wrist? Nothing is true, my dear. Not even this rumor of passion you'll doubtless insist on perceiving in my glance. Please, just go. Home is never what you think it is. Meaning lies and meaning's absence. The mist is always almost just about to lift. Nothing is truer, dear. Not even this candle can explain its searing twist. A flame mounted on cool amethyst. Go on home, not where you think it is, but where you would expect its comfort least. In still black stars, our sentry will miss seeing. Nothingness is not as true as this. Faith we grind up with denial, grist to the midnight mill. Morning's catalyst? Come, let's go home.
wherever you think it is. Nothing is true, my dear, not even this.
I am a feather on the bright sky. I am the blue horse that runs in the plain. I am the fish that rolls, shining in the water. I am the shadow that follows a child. I am the evening light, the luster of meadows. I am an eagle playing with the wind. I am a cluster of bright beads. I am the farthest star. I am the cold of dawn. I am the roaring of the rain. I am the glitter on the crust of the snow. I am the long track of the moon in a lake. I am a flame of 4 colors. I am a deer standing away in the dusk. I am a field of sumac and the pomme blanche. I am an angle of geese in the winter sky. I am the hunger of a young wolf. I am the whole dream of these things. You see, I am alive. I am alive. I stand in good relation to the earth. I stand in good relation to the gods. I stand in good relation to all that is beautiful. I stand in good relation to the daughter of Ten Taint. You see, I am alive. I am alive. Thank you.
From childhood's hour, I have not been as others were. I have not seen as others saw. I cannot bring my passions from a common spring. From the same source, I have not taken my sorrow. I cannot awaken my heart to joy at the same tone. And all I loved alone. Then, in my childhood, in the dawn of a most stormy life, was drawn from every depth of good and ill. The mystery which binds me still, from the torrent or the fountain, from the red cliff of the mountain, from the sun that round me rolled in its autumn tint of gold, from the lightning in the sky as it passed me flying by, from the thunder and the storm and the cloud that took the form, when the rest of heaven was blue, of a demon in my view.
Where is the promise of my years once written on my brow? Ere errors, agonies, and fears brought with them all that speaks in tears. Ere I had sunk beneath my peers, where sleeps that promise now? Naught lingers to redeem those hours. Still to memory sweet, the flowers that bloomed in sunny bowers are withered all, and evil towers supreme above her sister powers of sorrow and deceit. I look along the columned years and see life's riven fane just where it fell, amid the jeers of scornful lips, whose mocking sneers forever hiss
within mine ears to break the sleep of pain. I can but own my life is vain, a desert void of peace. I missed the goal I sought to gain. I missed the measure of the strain that lulls fame's fever in the brain and bids earth's tumult cease. Myself, alas, for theme so poor, a theme but rich in fear, I stand a wreck on error shore, a specter not within the door, a houseless shadow evermore, in exile lingering here. Thank you.
Hog butcher for the world, tool maker, stacker of wheat, player with railroads, and the nation's freight handler. Stormy, husky, brawling, city of the big shoulders. They tell me you are wicked, and I believe them. For I've seen your painted woman under the gas lamps luring the farm boys. And they tell me you are crooked. And I answer, yes, it is true. I've seen the gunman kill and go free to kill again. And they tell me you are brutal. And my reply is, on the faces of women and children, I've seen the marks. And having answered so, I turn once more to those who sneer at this, my city, and I give them back the sneer, and say to them, come and show me another city with lifted heads singing, so proud to be alive and coarse and strong and cunning, flinging magnetic curses amid the toil of piling job on job. Here is a tall, bold slugger, set vivid against the little soft cities. Fierce as a dog with tongue lapping for action, cunning as a savage pitted against the wilderness. Bareheaded, shoveling, wrecking, planning, building, breaking, rebuilding. Under the smoke, dust all over his mouth, laughing with white teeth. Under the terrible burden of destiny, laughing as a young man laughs. Laughing even as an ignorant fighter laughs who has never lost a battle. Bragging and laughing that under his wrist is the pulse, and under his ribs the heart of the people. Laughing the stormy, husky, brawling laughter of youth, half-naked, sweating, proud to be hog butcher, tool maker, stacker of wheat, player with railroads, and freight handler to the nation. Thank you.
When fishes flew and forests walked and figs grew upon thorn, some moment when the moon was blood, and surely I was born, with monstrous head and sickening cry and ears like errant wings, the devil's walking parody on all four-footed things. The tattered outlaw of the earth, of ancient crooked will. Starve, scourge, deride me, I am dumb. I keep my secret still. Fools, for I also had my hour, one far, fierce hour and sweet. There was a shout about my ears and palms before my feet. Thank you.
Batter my heart, three-personed God, for you. As yet, but knock, breathe, shine, and seek to mend, that I may rise and stand, overthrow me and bend. Your force to break, blow, burn, and make me new. I, like a usurped town, labor to admit you, but oh, to no end. But is captive, and proves weak or untrue. Yet dearly, I love you, and would be loved fain, but am betrothed unto your enemy. Divorce me, untie or break that knot again. Take me to you. Imprison me, for I, except you ravish me, nor chaste, except you ravish me. Thank you.
Oh, the days gone by, oh, the days gone by, the apples in the orchard and the pathway through the rye, the chirrup of the robin and the whistle of the quail as he piped across the meadows, sweet as any nightingale, when the bloom was on the clover and the blue was in the sky, and my happy heart brimmed over in the days gone by. In the days gone by, when my naked feet were tripped by the honeysuckle's tangles where the water lilies dipped, and the ripples of the river with the moss along the brink where the placid-eyed and lazy-footed cattle came to drink. And the tilting snipe stood fearless of the truant wayward's cry, and the splashing of the swimmer in the days gone by. Oh, the days gone by, oh, the days gone by, the music of the laughing lip, the luster of the eye, the childish faith in fairies and Aladdin's magic ring, the simple, soul-reposing, glad belief in everything, when life was like a story, holding neither sob nor sigh, in the golden, olden glory of the days gone by. Thank you.
I've stayed in the front yard all my life. I want a peek at the back, where it's rough and untended and hungry weed grows. A girl gets sick of a rose. I want to go in the backyard now, and maybe down the alley to where the charity children play. I want a good time today. They do some wonderful things. They have some wonderful fun. My mother, she sneers, but I say it's fine how they don't have to be in at 9:15. My mother, she tells me that Johnny May will grow up to be a bad woman, that George will be taken to jail sooner or late. On account of last winter, he sold our back gate. But I say it's fine. Honest, I do. And I'd like to be a bad woman too, and wear the brave stockings of night black lace and strut down the streets with paint on my face. Thank you. Booth led boldly with his big bass drum. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? The saints smiled gravely and they said, He's come. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Walking lepers followed, rank on rank, lurching bravos from the ditches dank. Drabs from the alleyways and drug fiends pale, minds still passion-ridden, soul powers frail. Vermin-eaten saints with moldy breath, unwashed legions with the ways of death. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Every slum had sent its half a score the round world over. Booth had groaned for more. Every banner that the wide world flies bloomed with glory and transcendent dyes. Big-voiced lasses made their banjos bang. Tranced, fanatical, they shrieked and sang, "Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb?" Hallelujah! It was queer to see bull-necked convicts with that land set free. Loons with trumpets blowed a blare, blare, blare on upward through the golden air. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Booth died blind, and still by faith he trod, eyes still dazzled by the ways of God. Booth led boldly, and he looked the chief eagle countenance in sharp relief. Beard a-flyin', air of high command, unabated in that holy land. Jesus came from out the courthouse door, stretched his hands above the passing poor. Booth saw not, but led his queer ones there, round and round the mighty courthouse square. Yet in an instant, all that blear review marched on spotless, clad in raiment new. The lame were straightened, withered limbs uncurled, and blind eyes opened on a new, sweet world. Drabs and vixens in a flash made whole. Gone was the weasel head, the snout, the jowl. Sages and sibyls now, and athletes clean. Rulers of empires and of forests green. The hosts were sandaled, and their wings were fire. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? But their noise played havoc with the angel choir. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Oh, shout salvation! It was good to see kings and princes by the Lamb set free. The banjos rattled, and the tambourines jing, jing, jingled in the hands of queens. And when Booth halted by the curb for prayer, he saw his master through the flag-filled air. Christ came gently with a robe and crown for Booth the soldier, while the throng knelt down. He saw King Jesus. They were face to face, and he knelt a-weeping in that holy place. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Thank you.
At last, I can be with you. The grinding hours since I left your side, the labor of being fully human, working my opposable thumb, talking and walking upright. Now, I have unclasped, unzipped, stepped out of, husked, soft, a bier only. I do nothing but point my bare feet into your clean smoothness. Feel your quiet strength the whole length of my body. I close my eyes, hear myself moan. So grateful to be held this way.
Today, the cloud shapes are terrifying, and I keep expecting some enormous black and white B-movie cyclops to appear at the edge of the horizon, to come striding over the ocean and drag me from my kitchen to that deep cave that flickered into my young brain one Saturday in the Baronet Theater, where I sat helpless between my older brothers, pumped up on candy and horror. That cave, the litter of human bones, gnawed on and flung towards the entrance. I can smell their stench as clearly as the bacon fat from breakfast. This is how it feels to lose it. Not sanity, I mean, but whatever it is that helps you get up in the morning and actually leave your house on those days when it seems like death in his brown uniform is cruising his panel truck of packages through your neighborhood. I think of a friend's voice on her answering machine. "Hi, I'm not here." The morning of her funeral, the calls filling up the tape, and the mail still arriving, and I feel as afraid as I was after all those vampire movies, when I'd come home and lie awake all night, perched in my bed, unable to get up, even to pee, because the undead were waiting underneath it. If I so much as stuck a bare foot out there, they'd grab me by my ankles and pull me under. And my parents said there was nothing there. When I was older, I would know better. But now, they're dead, and I'm older, and I know better.
Mother dear, may I go downtown instead of out to play and march the streets of Birmingham in a freedom march today? No, baby. No, you may not go, for the dogs are fierce and wild, and clubs and hoses, guns and jails aren't good for a little child. But Mother, I won't be alone. Other children will go with me and march the streets of Birmingham to make our country free. No, baby, no, you may not go, for I fear those guns will fire. But you may go to church instead and sing in the children's choir. She has combed and brushed her night dark hair and bathed rose petals sweet, and drawn white gloves on her small brown hands and white shoes on her feet. The mother smiled to know her child was in the sacred place. But that smile was the last smile to come upon her face. For when she heard the explosion, her eyes grew wet and wild. She raced through the streets of Birmingham, calling for her child. She clawed through bits of glass and brick, then lifted out a shoe. Oh, here's the shoe my baby wore. But baby, where are you? Thank you.
I am the people, the mob, the crowd, the mass. Do you know that all the great work of the world is done through me? I am the working man, the inventor, the maker of the world's food and clothes. I am the audience that witnesses history. The Napoleons come from me, and the Lincolns. They die, and then I sent forth more Napoleons and Lincolns. I am the seed ground, I am the prairie that will stand for much plowing. Terrible storms pass over me. I forget. The best of me is sucked out and wasted. I forget. Everything but death comes to me. It makes me work and give up what I have, and I forget. Sometimes I growl, shake myself, and spatter a few red drops for history to remember. And then I forget. When I, the people, learn to remember, when I, the people, use the lessons of yesterday and no longer forget who robbed me last year, who played me for a fool, then there will be no speaker in all the world say the name, the people, with any fleck of sneer in his voice or far-off smile of derision. The mob, the crowd, the mass will arrive then.
grow old under an intensity of questioning looks. Nonsense, I tried to say. I cannot teach you children how to live. If not you, who will? Cries one of them aloud, grasping my gilded frame till the world sways. If not you, who will? Between their visits, the table, its arrangement of Bible, fern, and paisley, all past change, does very nicely. If ever I feel curious as to what others endure, across the parlor you provide examples, wide open, sunny, of everything I am not. You embrace a whole world without once caring to set it in order. That takes thought. Out there, something is being picked. The red and white bandanas go to my heart. A fine young man rides by on horseback. Now the door shuts. Hester confides in me her first unhappiness. This much, you see, would never have been fitted together but for me. Why then is it they more and more neglect me? Late, one sleepless midsummer night, I strain to keep 5 tapers from your breathing. No, the widowed cousin said, let them go out. I did. The room brimmed with gray sound, all the in-streaming muslin of your dream. Years later now, 2 of the grown grandchildren sit with novels face down on the sill, content to muse upon your tall transparence, your clouds, brown fields, persimmon far and cypress near. One speaks. How superficial appearances are. Since then, as if a fish had broken the perfect silver of my reflectiveness, I have lapses. I suspect looks from behind where nothing is, cool gazes through the blind flaws of my mind. As days, as decades lengthen, this vision spreads and blackens. I do not know whose it is, but I think it watches for my last silver to blister, flake, float, leaf by life, each milling downward, dumb conceit, to a standstill, from which not even you strike any brilliant chord in me, and to a faceless will, echo of mine, I am amenable. Thank you.
I am not resigned to the shedding away of loving hearts in the hard ground. So it is and so it will be, for so it has been, time out of mind. Into the darkness they go, the wise and the lovely. Crowned with lilies and with laurel they go. But I am not resigned. Lovers and thinkers, into the earth with you. Be one with the dull, the indiscriminate dust. A fragment of what you felt, of what you knew. A formula, a phrase remains. But the best is lost. The answers, quick and keen, the honest look, the laughter, the love, they are gone. They are gone to feed the roses. Elegant and curled is the blossom, fragrant is the blossom. I know, but I do not approve. More precious was the light in your eyes than all the roses of the world. Down, 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 into the darkness of the grave. Gently they go, the beautiful, the tender, the kind. Quietly they go, the intelligent, the witty, the brave. I know, but I do not approve, and I am not resigned. Thank you.
As we drove back, crossing the hill, the house still hidden in the trees, I always thought, a fool's fear, that it might have caught fire, someone could have broken in, as if things must have been too good here. Still, we always found it locked tight, safe and sound. I mentioned that once, as a joke. No doubt we spoke of the absurdity to fear some dour god's jealousy of our good fortune. From the farm next door, our neighbors saw no harm came to the things we cared for here. What did we have to fear? Perhaps I should have thought. All such things rot, fall, barns, houses, furniture. We too are stronger than we were apart. We've grown together. Everything we own can burn. We know what counts. Some such idea. We said as much. We'd watched friends driven to betray, felt that love drained away some self they need. We'd said that love, like a growth, can feed on hate we turn in and disguise. We warned ourselves that you might despise me, hate all that we both loved best. None of us ever guessed. The house still stands, locked, as it stood untouched a good 2 years after you went. Some things were lost in the settlement. Some things slipped away. Enough's left that I come back sometimes. The theft and vandalism were our own. Maybe we should have known.